I'm with Aubrey Aker in Sebec, Maine. And Aubrey, what year were you born?
1927.
Oh, the same year as my mother. So you were a child of the Depression. Are you from Canada originally?
Yes.
So what was it like growing up during that period of time?
Oh, it was hard times just before the Depression, and it was really rough. War. My mother made me pants out of an old coat or something or other, and she always done the knitting and sewing and everything we needed done, she done. And so it was a great bringing up, I guess you might say. And
Okay.
we got along good.
So how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had two brothers and three sisters.
And were you a rural background?
Any what?
Rural? Were you on a farm? Or
Oh
were
yes, was on a little farm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
does that mean that you were able to, at least to eat because you could provide for yourselves?
Yes, we always had plenty to eat. We had pigs and cattle, or cow or two, for milk and butter.
Don't forget now.
And then the hens and chickens and roosters, all this kind of thing.
Okay.
I say don't forget now.
Yeah, had one horse.
What was your horse's name?
Nell.
Was there something special about Nell?
Oh, she was sort of a western horse, we always call her. She come from the western country, and she was kind of high strung, but she was a great horse, and she lived, my God, she must have been 30 years old when she died. So I used to cultivate with her in the gardens and stuff, and had a great life with her.
Okay. Now I'm sitting with you in Sebec, Maine. So how did you end up coming from Canada to the United States?
Well, of course, in order to come from Canada at that time, you had to have a sponsor in this country, and somebody that would support you in case you had sickness or you had any problems. And my uncle did that from Dover Foxcroft. Him and his wife she was my aunt, and Lottie, and Uncle Max. So they sponsored us to come to this country.
And how old were you?
I was about 24, I think.
What was the first job you found when you came here?
Well, I come here on a Sunday morning early, about 2 o'clock in the morning on the train, landed in Brownville Junction, and I went down to see a guy about painting. He was a painter. He done decorating, house decorating. And so I hired on with him on a Sunday, went to work Monday, and worked for him for 2 years. But when the winter time came, about Christmas time, he'd lay me off. He didn't have the work to support 2 or 3 guys he had. So I was the last one on the totem pole, so I went to Love's garage, a Chevrolet garage, and worked on cars to get them for the road, clean them up, one thing and another. Worked there all winter, and then I went back with him in the spring again. That's the way I did for a couple of years with him.
So what was the process to make you become self-employed?
I guess hard times. That'll do it.
Okay. Now, if you could leave words of wisdom for somebody to understand how important it is to be successful in your own business, what would you say?
Well, I guess I would say that you've got to be honest with people and don't tell them any lies about what you're going to do for them. If you work for them anytime, you've got to put in a good day's work and be honest with people and do as you say you're going to do. I guess that's the main thing. And if you say you're going to do something, you do it on the same time you said you would get it done. So, and you'll be successful that way, I think.
You've been married 66 years. What words of advice can you provide for a happy marriage?
Well, you find a good woman to start with. And I like the old-fashioned kind that's able to do different stuff and canning and, keep the meals coming. So and that's what I got, somebody like that. She's been great, stand behind me.
So you find the right woman, and then what's the process of keeping you still smiling after 66 years? What can you offer?
Well, I guess I've been sort of a happy guy anyway. I don't have any problems. I don't get bored with anything, so I make my own happiness, I guess.
Okay.
And
Well, speaking of making your own happiness, I know you love cars, and you particularly like Ford. How did you get into that?
well, always dreamed of having a new car or having any kind of car at all. When I was a kid, I had a bicycle, but that's about all I ever had. And then later on, when I got so I could afford to buy a car, well, then I did. And then I got over anxious, I guess, and bought more cars than what I really needed. But I got into the antique cars, and I like the old cars. That's what I like.
Okay. How do you want to be remembered?
I don't want to remember well. I guess what I do most times is if I can do something good for someone every day of the week, and it might be a handshake or it might be saying something good to somebody, that's very important, I think, if you can help somebody every day of the week.
Thank you. Thank you so much.